welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of the Cosmic Tranquilcyon, a crosstown tournament at Tranquility Trails in Alcyon Woods. This tournament is run by and sponsored by Cosmic Disc Golf. It's also brought to you in part by our Patreon family, so thank you to them and thank you to you for joining me. I'm Dave, here to bring you today's coverage. We're starting off at Tranquility Trails, and we'll start off on hole 1. It's a par 3, 285 feet, pretty much dead straight until you get to the end of this tunnel shot, keeping in mind not to go left or right to the thick rough. Just a slight fade at the end will get you over to the basket. And we'll throw over to the Cosmic Dave Gralnick for the player intros.
First on the tee, Mike Moser.
Delaware Deucer Mike Moser gonna get us started. Got a great card today, as Dave will, of course, let us know. Mike just a little too stable, a little too Hyzer, too much Hyzer.
Ladies and gentlemen from Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Hello.
Huge shout out to Cosmic Disc Golf.
Yes.
Thank you, Dave.
Chris Villa second on the tee. Trying to throw it a bit straighter than Mike was able to. And started out a little further right, but that looks like
great
it
shot,
will
Chris.
be perfect.
From Richmond, Virginia, now residing in Medford, New Jersey, Brandon Whitaker.
Another player who we've seen on our coverage before, Brandon Whitaker. And great
That's
shot,
all
maybe a
hot
little
too.
bit left side of the
And ladies
green.
and gentlemen from West Deptford, New Jersey, Cosmic Disc Golf Store's own Mitchel Wileczek.
And this would be Mitchell's first time on our coverage, the only one on the card. He's also the only one on the card that may throw a single forehand this entire round. The rest of these guys will be predominantly backhand, and Mitchell can keep up with them backhand as well,
Got looking good.
as you see right there on hole 1. But he also has that forehand tool, so we'll see if he's able to take advantage of that throughout this round. One thing to miss. Ooh, both Brandon and Mike not able to, and Mike getting just an annoying little roll. Shouldn't be too much harder, but landed right next to the basket. So very well placed small tree, or probably basket next to the small tree. This is a fairly new course. As Chris and Mitchell are all but parked. So 2 birdies and 2 pars to start off this first hole here at Tranquility Trails. And we move over to hole 2. Par 3, 327 feet. The high quill weeds take away the big spike hyzer. These players may be trying to throw baby hyzers over the out of bounds on the right and land back into the shorter cut grass to give themselves a look at the birdie. And correction, it's not out of bounds, it is just very thick rough. If you do land in there, it'll be a difficult footing and maybe even have difficulty swinging your arm depending on exactly how far you get in there. Chris hitting the one tree to beat, coming back in. And this looks very wide for Mitchell, but it's swinging and doesn't quite make it all the way back. As we can see, pretty windy today. These players only 2 holes in, maybe still trying to adjust.
Wow.
Mike throwing a beautiful shot. That wind just dropped it out of the air, but still had enough height to get over. The rough on the right side, and next to the basket. And Brandon, similar result, but probably 15 feet further than Mike, so Chris fortunate to actually get past that tree that he hit, so he has a clean look at it. just a bit short. And Mitchell a couple steps further into the rough. Tough, not really quite having the swing room, comfortable putting form like your usual, as Brandon has no trouble with his putt being out in the open and cards the birdie. And with Mike also carding the birdie after 2 holes, these guys are taking turns, 2 at a time getting their birdies, and everybody is at 1 under. This course also was the first course for the New Jersey States, and it was absolutely shredded by quite a few players, so you can expect some good scores here. Moving over to hole 3, par 3, 243 feet. The gap the drone is flying is the main backhand gap. You can also throw a forehand to the left side. Once you get up to the green, there's a lot of small guardian trees you have to miss to get real close. Mike looks like he's lining up that right side. Just something straight as you can get, a little bit of fade. And just about up to those trees you're trying to get through, but he should have an unobstructed putt for his second birdie in a row. Brandon a little right side, and yep, caught that tree. Not being all the way up that slope, he'll have more of a difficult upshot than it would seem, as Chris also catches a tree, but much further up onto the green. Probably still circle's edge, maybe 35 feet. Mitchell, little right side, needs to start coming back. And yeah, that should work as well. Some of those leaves that he caught probably helped him, kicking him back towards the basket. And you see Brandon here. His height definitely coming in as an advantage. And that should work. Just got to get around that one tree. And Chris has an unobstructed long putt for birdie. Great putt, catching the back edge of the cage. No chains needed. Chris off to a good start. 2 out of 3 holes. Mitchell has probably have to go up and over this branch in front of his face. Ooh. Not able to get through cleanly, but right next to the basket, sitting there for his par. And Mike with the 2 pump and putt makes good on his birdie. And as long as Brandon can get around that one little tree, he should be getting his par. And there you go, hole 3 playing as a fairly easy hole today, the 5th easiest, at almost 0.6 strokes under par. So 2 birdies, 2 pars, right in line with that. As we move over to hole 4, it's the first par 4 we have, and going into the woods, 473 feet. Choice to make off the tee to go left where the drone's going, or right side high. Either way, you're either going to have to snake through these little trees, probably a forehand going up to this slightly sloped green. And this gap off the tee is probably more of a mental barrier than it actually is a physical barrier. Probably just screwing up your shot more in your head than it actually would. As Mike throws a bomb down the fairway and turns Catch Cam Wendy around, he should have a fairly easy, maybe a straight backhand, just a little pitch up from there. And that was not a good kick for Chris. Left side is very thick, especially how far Chris got into there. You see Brandon going that right side gap. Works well for a flex line, but I think he got caught up in something. He's maybe just right side of that right fairway. And you see Mitchell with the first forehand, going big forehand flex. Oh, not flexing enough. Looks like he was trying to get right to left using the whole fairway. Back to the left split, but not quite able to get far enough left for it to start to come back. And Chris, good recovery shot, probably up near where about Mike landed his drive, so from there they should both have fairly easy next shots. Mitchell playing Plinko a little bit, but he should probably be close to circle 2. Brandon going through the middle of everything. Catches a late tree and kicks away. That was going right towards the basket. Unfortunate. Probably one of the last trees he needed to miss. And Chris going for it. Oh, that looked like it was tracking the whole way. And now Mike actually has a long bid for eagle. Oh, and just short. But absolutely parked for a birdie. And Brandon giving it a bit as well. Trying to get his birdie after being out of position on his first throw. Mitchell got maybe circle's edge, couple steps outside. Left it just a bit low. So, Mike is under the basket for his birdie, and the rest of these guys will be getting pars. This hole was still playing under par, although it was the 5th hardest hole on the day, at just about a 0.2 strokes under par still. This course is definitely scoreable for these guys, so a lot of the holes playing under par, so these par scores are a little bit of a disappointment, especially for the feature card if they're hoping to be on the lead card for the next round. But we'll move over to hole 5, second par 4 in a row in the woods, 445 feet. You want to get to about that drop off we saw. Give yourself a nice easy approach, probably a backhand turnover, just a little bit of a left to right fade for most of these guys. But the elevation and the sloping of the fairway definitely plays tricks on the players here. As we see Mike not able to get it to flip enough. It's not quite a straight shot. This is looking better for Chris. Oh, just needs to get around that one tree. Brandon throws it high, but it is fading to the right and gets over the hump. So he'll have probably the best look from the 3 of them. And Mitchell going with the forehand, probably the easier way to get straight and to the left. He saws it off a little bit and then catches a tree right side. So you see him here. He'll be punching through to get back out, but gets a bad kick. One side of the fairway to the other. Oh, and another tree kick off the fairway. Mitchell struggling a little bit on this hole, playing a bit of army golf. And Chris going from one side to the other, but just off line from the gap that he wants to look at. And Brandon looking at the basket in the second shot, and he is parked. And Mike we see with the farthest drive, but just in absolute jail. Just doing what he can to pitch out, gets down the hill. Maybe a long look at it, but probably not even circle 2. Chris with a very tight gap to even be able to progress forward there. But he may be within the circle. So good shot from him. Mitchell, awkward stance. Didn't have quite enough room to swing that forehand. So, other than Brandon, everybody's going to have long looks to save their pars. And that kind of faded out on Mike a little bit too much. Maybe expected it to flip a little bit more. And this is actually Mitchell to save his bogey. Just off the top band. So, difficult hole. This one playing about a tenth of a stroke harder than the last hole. So these two holes in a row, early in the round, are playing hard for this card as well as the entire field. So, par's not as bad as you think, but it looks like two of these players are going to be finishing above par. But Brandon throws putter again, taps in his birdie. Sometimes it really is just how you approach the hole. Of course, execution is always required. But Brandon certainly made it look easy. Going from the fourth hardest to the easiest hole on the course, hole 6. Par 3, 247 feet. Tall grass is not out of bounds, so there really is no danger on this hole. Good relief after those two difficult par 4s in the woods. Certainly a must-get birdie, maybe even an ace run if you are looking to do that. And perhaps Brandon is just looking to park it. Absolutely. It looked like it might have started fading back. And Mike going big spike hyzer. You can see the very different two plays. But both got to pretty much the exact same spot. Chris also going big spike hyzer. Tracking the basket and almost ringing it up just a few feet short. And luckily, with the spike hyzer dug into the ground and still parked for his birdie, getting that stroke back he lost on the last hole. And this is also going towards the basket, just behind the basket. So Mike with the farthest look, and double pumps it in. Brandon just a step or two closer, also with the birdie. So it looks like we're going to be seeing our first star frame. This hole playing almost an entire stroke under par. 0.83 to be precise. And we can certainly see it here as all four of these guys have no issues. As we go over to a much more difficult, although open, par 4. 690 feet. Longest hole on the course. Got to throw it around the corner here. Wanting to land somewhere that gives you a good setup for your approach into, I wouldn't quite call it woods, but wooded section of the hole. And there is out of bounds long and left, so second shots do have to be controlled for speed and distance. Brandon going big hyzer, looking to swing it back and landing. Looks like he got a little bit of a roll to the left as well. Let's see what that looks like once it gets up there. Mike probably going more of a flex line. And yep, very stable disc. Just barely catches the edge, but far enough down that should be no issue. Chris going very wide, and that looked like it flipped a little bit. And that is pretty deep into that tall grass, so it's kind of a gamble landing in there. And that's kind of the theme of this course. There's a lot of holes that just go around this tall grass field. If you're in there, you could have good footing. You probably won't. Probably have to pull through some stuff on your pull through, which obviously makes the shot harder. So Chris so far back, he's opting for the back door route to the basket. Not sure how far he went through, but probably not going to have a look for his birdie. Mike missing the gap, looking for that to turn over a little bit. There was some wind early in the round. It looks pretty calm at this point. Mitchell going forehand. Yeah, a little obstructed, but he's up by the basket. So Brandon with a great shot, giving him that backhand Hyzer shot in. Throws it a little straight, gets a tree kick, and I think he is in the circle. So Mike again finding himself in a difficult spot. Oh, and getting a tree kick not over that log. That's going to leave him with a long putt to save his par. So Chris luckily to punch through enough that he can give it a bid. Went a little long. Let's see how far that actually was. And Mike getting a bit of a roll after that miss. So he's going to have still some work to do to save his bogey. And after Mitchell missed his putt, Brandon's the only one with a look for a birdie. And barely getting it over the rim, catching some low right chains. But that will do it. Good save by Chris. Very creative, getting through the backside trees. Mitchell playing the hole a little bit more traditionally. Still getting the par, so we see multiple ways to do it. And Mike, unfortunately, giving up the lead that he had to Brandon. The two of those guys flip-flop 3 and 4. Going to another very easy hole, hole 8, par 3, 205 feet. Literally just one tree in the way. Most of these guys are probably going to go putter. Most everybody who ever played this hole probably go putter. But it is definitely not a hole you want to miss. So it looked like Brandon went a little long right. Chris going big hyzer, needs to dig. And it does, but it's a little short. Maybe 20 feet left. To hold this short, you really want to try to get it as close as you can. Should be a stress-free hole, a break. Good little roll. Mitchell's going to be just a step or two inside Chris. Mike going that back and hyzer line. And that'll do it. That's what you're looking for. Give yourself a 10-footer. And Chris and Mitchell actually closer than it looked from the first shot. So if they're the furthest out, we're probably looking at another star frame. And Mike was further than he looked from the camera, so strange angle. But these guys do get the star frame, as they should, on the third easiest hole in this course. As we move over to the final hole for this front 9, par 3, 271 feet. The forehand will definitely give the advantage here to Mitchell, but the rest of these guys definitely have the backhand turnover to get there. You see the white stakes marking the out of bounds straight and left side, which make the corner. So making sure not to go too far on this 271-foot hole is important. And Brandon trying to use height to slowed down his disc, but turns it over too much. Hopefully he punched through, because if he did, he's right by the basket. If not, he's going to have a difficult time. And Chris threw that pretty straight, but the angle it came in on kind of skipped up a little bit. He's probably circle's edge there. And this is looking great for Mitchell. Oh, catches the one big tree you're trying to get around. This is probably more of the line that Brandon was looking to get. And Mike catching the outside big tree, but kicking towards the basket. And this is Brandon. Didn't quite get through, but had a window. Good bid. So Mitchell from 80. Good effort, just a bit low right. Oh, by 1 inch. Mike was that close to retaking his lead from Brandon. And good putt for Chris. He's now tied for second place with Mike. So as the rest of these guys tap in their pars, we're going to get ready to head over to back nine. I hope you join us. Rest of Tranquility Trails still to come on the first round of the Cosmic Tranquilcyon. Thank you again for Cosmic for sponsoring this tournament and of course running it. Thank you to you for watching us, and we will see you over in the back nine.